video is supported by Skillshare. For a 2-week free trial to learn anything online, hit the link in the description. What is up, creators? This is Tom. Welcome back to another video. It has been a long time, but I think it is time for a Budget Wednesday. Yo guys, what's up? I know it's been a long time since the last Budget Wednesday, but I'm super keen to get the series going again on the channel. The feedback that I got from when I used to do lots of these videos is that you guys really enjoy them. If you are unaware, if you maybe not seen a Budget Wednesday before, this is basically supposed to be a weekly series that we go through and talk about a piece of filmmaking or photography gear that will level up your game without costing you a ton of money. If you don't know me, my name is Tom. I am a filmmaker and photographer based here in the UK. I create videos on content creation, photography, video, all that good stuff. That, and I love talking about camera gear. So if you are interested in any of that, consider hitting the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any uploads. And in today's video, I want to talk about the Pro Mist filter, the black Pro Mist filter from Tiffen. So you guys might be confused as to why I'm talking about a $100 piece of glass little lens filter in a Budget Wednesday. This is supposed to be a weekly cheap show where we talk about, cheap filmmaking items. And, if $100 for, or $100 plus for a little lens filter is certainly not cheap. The reason that I'm actually talking about it today is because I think this little filter is a really good way of basically improving the look out of your camera and bringing your camera, maybe you own like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera and you're looking to level up and improve your footage without necessarily buying yourself or upgrading your actual camera itself or your actual lenses. And this little filter will do that for you. It will give you a different look and a different feel to your footage without having to upgrade and change your actual camera setup. And the reason it does that is that this filter actually changes the characteristics of your footage. And I would say it sort of gives it almost like a film look. So it will take your image and smooth it out slightly, and it also has the added benefit of blooming the light hit. What's up, guys? So just filming some comparisons that you're about to see later on in the video. There's just a couple of points that I definitely didn't forget to mention whilst filming my main A-roll shot. First of all is that there's a big difference between big, expensive, more sort of pro level cameras compared to more consumer or even prosumer cameras. Cinema cameras tend to have a more pleasing picture, and that's not always related to sharpness and how crisp the image is. Things like how they handle highlight roll-off, color profiles, and just overall sort of light characteristics. And that, in my opinion, is what the black Pro Mist filter does exceptionally well, is it brings your camera, your footage, a little bit closer, a little bit subtly closer to a more professional look. And then second of all is that these filters come in different strengths. So this is a quarter strength filter, though if you want a slightly more subtle look, you could go for a 1/8, and then you can also get even up to 1/2 of a stop of sort of diffusion on a diffusion filter. Personally though, I like the quarter. If you're wanting to use it all the time, maybe an 1/8 would be a good choice because it's not sort of super strong, but I like to have the option of shooting with a mist filter, and the quarter is a good fit for that. So in this video, what we're going to do is I'm going to go through a whole bunch of image comparisons, sort of before and afters, because there's a lot of information online about these black Pro Mist filters from Tiffen, but I don't actually think there's like tons and tons of image comparisons. So I thought this video would be a good example, sort of takes a ton of before and afters of using, this black Pro Mist filter. And the easiest way to demonstrate this, or the quickest way to demonstrate this, is literally just in this sort of scenario here. So if I turn on this little Viltrox light that I have, you can see that when that shines in here, you can see it's not sort of blooming, like it looks sort of bright-ish. I'm just gonna maybe lower the brightness down just a little bit here. And that's sort of, looking like okay on the low. It looks like a light on the Canon C200 that's filming me right now. However, if we take this filter and screw it on, this will hopefully do a couple of things to the shot. So first of all, you should see that my skin is ever so slightly softer. It's probably taken away some of the sort of digital nature of the footage. Like I was shooting with the Canon 24-105 f4 lens. It's a Canon L series lens, so it's pretty sharp. And this hopefully has just softened the light out on my face a little bit and softened my skin over on this side, particularly on the slightly brighter part of my face here. And then what we can also do is use that same, you can see that same light is really blooming now. and that is quite a significant difference compared to the shot we had before. Like, that is the biggest difference in terms of what it's going to do for your footage. But there are also much more subtle differences. So if we go ahead and turn this off here, so things like the sort of softening of sort of skin textures, basically just making your footage look a little bit more even and a little bit more filmic. It takes some of the digital edge off and almost makes your more modern lenses feel a bit vintage. So guys, I want to go through a few image comparisons now, give you some side-by-sides and just have a look at sort of different lighting situations and different things like that as to how this lens filter affects your images.
Okay, so we have a whole bunch of shots here. We're going to kick off with some sort of sunset-y type images. So this is the before, and then we will switch over to the filtered shot. And interesting, it does look like we're sort of losing maybe like a quarter of a stop of light, just a tiny bit of light, but it definitely does soften out these images. So let's switch to a shot that is just a little bit more contrasty. We've got a couple of highlight hotspots here, both in the water and the sky. So let's see what the filter does to that. You can see that it definitely is bringing up the darks just a little bit. So if we were to add some color correction, this is almost what I would like the final shot to look at, and I definitely prefer that compared to the starting shot. We've got a bit of bloom on the water, like that is a beautiful look, and the filter is clearly making a big difference. Here we have a very, very moody situation, purposefully with a sort of a background light, a bit of ambience in the background there. And as you can see, the difference wasn't actually enormous on this shot. I thought it might be a slightly bigger. Obviously, there's a lot of contrast. You would never actually probably want to use a shot necessarily like this. A bit too much contrast in the image, but it is definitely smoothing out the skin tones, and everything does look just a little bit more filmic. Alright, so we'll finish off with some shots from the EOS R. This is a pretty extreme example. I really wanted to just show you how much the blooming does make a difference. And this shot really looks much more glowy and dreamy. So clearly when you're working in sort of high contrast outside environments, you are going to get quite a lot of difference. Then we have a outside sort of headshot just in the sun and the outdoors, just to see how things sort of changed and interacted. Again, on the highlights, definitely more sort of glowy, and the skin is noticeably softer as well here. Or I lied, one more for good measure, and this is round the other way actually. We're starting with the filter applied, and then I actually, because I was just holding this over the lens, you can see me just take it off and just see sort of directly how the image is changed by doing that. You can see that definitely the blacks are deeper and the colors are definitely more contrasty.
There we go, guys. So those image comparisons, I hope they were helpful and interesting. I thought that it was sort of quite useful to get a ton of different lighting situations, lighting environments, just to see how the sort of filter actually changed the look and feel of your lens. A couple of sort of closing thoughts about this lens filter. I've been actually looking at buying a Black Pro Mist for quite a while, and in the end I did go for, so this is a 77mm thread, which means it's a perfect size for my Canon 70-200 and my Canon 24-105. So I would definitely recommend, if you are going to buy this lens filter, because it is quite expensive, to go for quite a large size so that you can then add like step-up rings to bring it down to lenses that are a bit smaller. So my Sigma 18-35 is actually 72mm, so I can adapt that up to fit this lens filter no problem. The only other thing I'd say is that this is the perfect fit for me with my Canon C200, because that camera comes with built-in ND filters, which means that I don't have to worry about ND filters on the front of the camera lens. If you are someone who needs variable ND filters, or fixed NDs, but they screw onto the front of your camera lens, you might potentially want to look into other options. I actually have a Peter McKinnon variable ND here. This is from Polar Pro, and they were kind enough to send this out to me a few months ago, and I'm actually definitely going to do a video on this at some stage. But this is a combined mist filter, and that also is a variable ND, so this will control the amount of light coming in and give you a slightly bloomy effect, maybe not quite the same extreme of the the Black Pro Mist, but it will do both. So that is a real sort of benefit of having two filters in one. You don't need to like filter stack. So it might just be worth sort of doing a bit of research, having a look at the different options out there and seeing which is going to be the best fit for you. But guys, I sort of just want to close this video here now. I've sort of discussed some thoughts and feelings on the Black Pro Mist. I think it is a really good addition to like have in your camera bag if you're shooting almost like short films or anything a little bit more cinematic, a bit more filmic. This is a really nice option to have in the camera bag. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll be down below in the comments as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.